We are going to look at some market analysis here. And this is not my normal monthly update. I'm looking to talk about what the market is, and my headline might be A Tale of Two Markets. We're going to look at the splits in the markets, where the majority of sales are, how long things take to sell, what starter home means, what move-up home means, what the price breakdowns, what the performance breakdowns in sales really mean, because as it relates to the conversation that we were just having about new builds, we hear a lot about things like, when is housing going to cool off? When's it going to get cheaper? And I guess I could just say right now, and you might stop watching, and I've told you the end conclusion, it's not. But I really want to dig into this to give you a breakdown of what the market looks like, to give you the knowledge for when we talk about in the future about a lot of these new builds and other homes that are in the area, about what they're going to cost, because some of these neighborhoods are going to be starting in the 400s and up, and people are going to come back to me and say, Geoff, that's crazy. It's not, because businesses aren't cutting into the market to lose money. They have a solid business plan. So let's take a look at a detailed market overview here in the Greater Lafayette area. And we're going to break the market down by price, by construction status, by property type. And we're really going to get into the details here of all of this. And we're going to start with new listings by price. And this is a 12-month rolling total. So this is over the previous 12 months and then the previous. So we're in April right now. So back to April of 2025 and then the previous rolling 12 months before that. So let's bring this up. And again, I got to see which of these screen layouts works best for this. We're going to go with this one. This is new listings that come on the market and where do they fit in price brackets. And you'll see your eye is drawn right to the middle here. These are the tallest bars for both years, for the previous year and the year prior to that. $250,000 to $349,000, far and above every other price bracket. Now, the price brackets to either side over the last 12 months have been fairly similar. If we go down one price bracket, 150 to 249, about 543 homes. And if we go up a price bracket, 350 to 499, about 587 homes. So the majority of homes in the Greater Lafayette area that have gone on the market in the last year are definitely under 500K, with most of those being in the 250 to 350 mark. But there is a good bit of inventory available between 150 and 250. And if you're here looking for a deal, if you're looking for dirt cheap 0 to 149, I got to bad news for you. It's less than 100 homes. And those 100 homes, they were small, they were dirty, they were torn up. They needed lots and lots of work. And if you bought that home for $150, by the time you got doing the work on it, you didn't have a $150,000 home anymore. You had a $250,000, $300,000 home. But then we come down here to the other end, and we'll see that there is a market in the 500 to 750 range, 300 homes, not nothing, about a little less than half as many as the core here. And then we do have some activity in the $750,000 to $1 million range, and then a handful of homes, 27, sold at more than $1 million over the last year. We can clearly see that we have quite a few homes that are $500,000 and less. And if you're looking for a home, you're really probably going to be looking in that 150 to 350 range, with the median being a chart that we're going to look at in a few minutes. All right. Next up, we're going to look at new listings by construction. So we just talked a lot about a bunch of new homes that are coming on the market here in the Greater Lafayette area. A lot of new planned development and subdivision development coming here to the area in 2026 and 2027. But over the last year, check this out. Existing homes over the last year, 2,200. New construction, 158. We're talking about 8% or so of compared, and that those numbers have held tight over the last 2 years. So when I talk about 1,000 new homes coming on the market here in the not too distant future, they're not all going to come on the market in 1 year. This isn't going to pop up to 1,000, but it's going to be a whole lot more than 158. So even 100 or 200 or 150 is going to be 100% more than we had over the last year. So that's when I say these 1,000 homes that are breaking ground now and are going to start coming on the market throughout the rest of this year are really going to affect our numbers here, and they're really going to help with the housing crunch that we have felt here in the Greater Lafayette area for a very long time now. But I also talked about multifamily, and multifamily is not the right word. It's really detached versus attached. And detached single-family homes, standalone homes, 2,200 last year. So this encompasses things like condos and townhouses. Condos and townhouses is its own category. 97. So about 5% compared to detached single family. So I am excited to see more townhouses and more condos come on the market because we need more inventory, we need more houses, and not everybody wants a 3,000 square foot home with 6 bedrooms and a pool. Some people just want an apartment that they can own, so that would be a condo, or they want a townhouse where they can live maybe in community with others. So I'm really excited to see that inventory come on. Now, inventory by price is our next number that we're going to look at here. So the current year is the arrows on the right. The previous year are the dots on the left. And this just backs up what we saw with new listings. The inventory is average daily inventory. This is what's for sale on any given day. By far, the largest amount is in the middle of the market. And the middle of the market in this case, just by sheer numbers, $350,000 to $499,000. 88 homes last year. Compared to that lower price point of what we were talking about before of $250,000 to $350,000, only 59 homes. And in the price point above, 56 homes. And again, dirt cheap, $150,000 to $250,000, only 34 homes. And I guarantee you a good many of those homes needed a whole lot of love. And again, there's a handful of $1 million homes and homes approaching $1 million. So on any given day, you're going to see lots of homes for sale between $350,000 and $500,000. And then you're going to see a good number of homes for sale between $250,000 and $350,000, and another good amount between $500,000 and $750,000. So if you're shopping in the $250,000 to $750,000 mark, we got some houses that we can look at. If you're looking below that, you're going to have to really pick your spots, and you're going to have to get super lucky because a lot of those homes, like I said, there's just not a lot of them. And of those that do exist, they're at that price point for a reason. By construction, this is just going to back up what we were looking at earlier. This is inventory by construction. And check it out. In the current year, 224 existing homes versus 37 new constructions. So that's about, 22 would be 10%. So it's about 15%. I'm really excited to see these new subdivisions coming online here this year and next year. And we're going to bump that new construction from 37. And this is what's available on any given day. But we're going to see that 37 go to 47 and 57 and 67 and maybe 70 or 80. Will it hit 100? Yeah, probably not. There's going to be more housing for sale and more new construction for sale. I think is also going to mean more existing construction for sale because there are going to be some people that are going to, you know what? I'm ready to move up, ready to downsize, whatever the case might be. I'm ready to go on to the next house, but it's still here in the area, and they're going to opt to go to a new construction. And at the same time as they're buying into that inventory, they're going to be opening up the inventory of their homes that they're currently in. And I think that is great news for you and for all of us. Inventory by property type, again, same story. Detached single family, this is the average daily inventory. We had 248 homes on any given day that were detached single family, and we had 10 townhouses and condos. So if you're looking for a condo here in the area and you called me up and said, I need one today, on average, I would only have 10 to show you. If you wanted a detached single family home, I'd have 248 to show you. Now, would they be the homes you're looking for? Probably not, but a lot more possibilities amongst 248 versus 10. We're going to start getting into actual sales over the last year. This is closed sales by price. And this is sales that got all the way to the closing table and the transaction actually happened. And again, we can see the tallest bar is right here in the middle, 250 to 350. And then we get shoulders going down at 150 to 250 and 350 to 5. So basically, real estate in the Greater Lafayette area and Tippecanoe County exists between 150 and 500, with the sweet spot being between 250 and 350. There is a little bit of inventory between 0 and 150, and then of course some higher price stuff at 500 and above. I can't reiterate enough that 0 to 150, they're priced that way for a reason. So we're talking about 1,865 closed transactions last year. 1/3 of them were in that 250 to 350 range. That's a lot. I'm just trying to set expectations for what you might be paying for a home. If you're coming here to the Greater Lafayette area and you're looking for a home, these are the price points that you're going to be looking at. If you haven't been in the market for a home for a while and you're ready to move and you're like, oh my gosh, Geoff, these houses are so expensive. If you're selling, I got good news for you. Your house is worth more than it was when you bought it. And if you'd like to know what that number is, go to the LafayetteReal.com/YouTube. Go to the LafayetteReal.com/YouTube, fill out that form, and I can get you a current value on your home. Maybe you haven't checked on it in the last year or 5 or 10, but I guarantee you it's worth more now than when you bought it. Closed sales by construction, existing homes over the last year, 1,700, 120 new constructions. Not even 10% of the new construction of the existing homes numbers were new construction. Out of 1,865 homes, only 120 were new constructions. So if you wanted to buy a new home, your inventory was seriously constrained as to buying a new home here in the area, as to buying an existing home here in the area. Sorry. We're going to hopefully see that help ease a little bit in the coming years. We have more than 1,000 new homes coming to subdivision developments here over the next year or two. Next up on our analysis of a detailed market overview here in the Greater Lafayette area, closed sales by property type. Again, we're talking about detached single family versus townhouse and condo. No surprise here, sales that actually closed. There were 1,865 total. 79 of those were townhouse and condo. The remainder, about 1,800, were detached single family. So if you didn't want a standalone home, if you wanted a condo, if you wanted a townhouse, you have really limited options here in the Greater Lafayette area. And that means that if you want one, you got to be ready to act. You got to have a realtor who's on top of it, who knows the market, who's got his finger on the pulse of what's coming. You got to be pre-approved. You know what you got to know what you can afford, what your finance plan is, and to get the answers to all of that, go to the LafayetteReal.com/YouTube, fill out that form, and let's work together on all your real estate needs here in the Greater Lafayette area. I told you that this was a deep dive, and we're going to keep on going because this is really important, I think, for us to get through all of this. Pending sales by price. This was sales that went pending. This is, hey, I like your house. Here's an offer. I accept your offer. They didn't necessarily close, but again, the sweet spot, 250 to 350 with shoulders either side, 150 to 250 and 350K to 500K. 1,800 properties total. A third of those, about 600 in that sweet spot of 250 to 350. So if you want to buy a house, your best chance, the most inventory that you're going to have in front of you, ones that went to the table most often were in that 250 to 350 price range. Pending sales by construction. No surprise here. Of 1,800 properties, only 127 were new construction that went pending. 1,700 were existing homes. We just did not have the inventory of new homes here, and that's going to be easing in the coming year or two as the more than 1,000 new homes in planned subdivision developments are going to be coming online as they're breaking ground right now here in the Greater Lafayette area here in 2026. And then we're going to look at pending sales by property type. What do you think? What are we going to see here? Yep, exactly what you think. Detached single family, 1,800, just under 1,800 homes, 1,772, 79 of them townhouses and condos. Not even 5% of the total were townhouses and condos. We're going to see a few more townhouses coming online in the next year, but think 100 or so, not thousands. So that pressure is not going to ease a little bit. So if you're a developer that wants to build condos and townhouses here in the Greater Lafayette area, I welcome you to town, and I'd love to talk to you. We're going to look at market momentum next, and this is days on market by price point. And this is where we really get to weave the details together and tell the story of these markets. And we keep seeing this sweet spot in the middle, we'll call it in that 250 to 350 range. Guess what? That 250 to 350 range where most of the deals are, the median days on market were only 12, not quite 2 weeks. And then in that cheaper price point where there are not quite as many sales, but they're 11. And then if you were in that bargain basement hunt, it was 3. And again, that bargain basement is a bargain basement for a reason. Now, if you're buying at higher price points, and by higher, 350 and above in this case, check it out, 350 to 500, 28 days, 4 weeks on average to get an accepted offer here in the Greater Lafayette area over the last year, compared to 20 days the year before. So it's slightly more than a week longer. That means if a home goes on sale for $375,000 on average, it's going to take 4 weeks to get an accepted offer. Now, as a seller, that means you need to get your mind wrapped around that fact. But if you're a buyer, it means that the houses in that price point are going to be on the market a little bit longer, which means you're going to have a little bit longer to look at each one that comes on the market and consider, and you're going to have a little wider array of choices perhaps at any given time, because maybe this brand new one came on the market today, but the one that came on the market 3 weeks ago is still on the market. So now you can compare and contrast the two. And then, of course, the higher you go in price point, the longer the market gets. 500 to 750, 41 days, almost 6 weeks. That is an eternity compared to the 2 and 3 days and 5 and 7 and even 10 days that it has been over the last few years. And if you check this out, the previous year it was 16 days, so just over 2 weeks. There are still quite a few homes that sell in that $500,000 to $750,000 range. That is you just got to get comfortable with the fact that if you're going to sell a home at that price point, you got to get it priced correctly. You got to look at it dispassionately and go, you know what? I bought this house a few years ago. I haven't done anything to it. So now I need to price it appropriately to move. Or I bought this home a few years ago and I've poured tons of money into it, so it is worth more. And you got to work with your local Lafayette real estate resource of choice, that's me, to get your house priced correctly so that it will sell in this market, because it is still technically a seller's market, but it is edging much closer to a balanced market. It's not quite at balanced just yet, but it is not the heyday of even just last year or the year before, much less 2020 or 2021. This is an interesting one to look at. Price per square foot. So just to give a little bit of context, it's tighter than you might think. It's basically in the $180 per square foot, between $150 all the way up to $500,000. And then at $500,000 and above, you pay a premium of $223 a square foot. So about $38 more a square foot over the mid-range of the market. So if you come, a lot of times looking at things by square foot is a great equalizer. If this house has 2.5 bathrooms, this house has 3 bathrooms. This house has a 2-car garage. This house has a 3-car garage. There's some guidelines you can go out there and use to try to value those features. But at the end of the day, price per square foot is a really great equalizer as far as looking at the data. And the data says if you're looking between $150 and $500, on average, it's about $180 to $185 a square foot. If you're paying premium, then you're paying a premium per square foot. It's not just more square footage, you're paying a premium per square foot. If you're down here in the bargain basement, guess what? That $128, do you know why it's only $128? I'll give you a guess what condition those homes are in. Drop it in the... Now, this is another interesting breakdown of price per square foot, but this is by construction. Check it out. You're going to pay a premium for new construction here in the market. For existing homes, it's $182 a square foot, up about $5 per square foot over the previous year. The premium is about $20 to buy new construction, about $20 per square foot. Now, this is on average across the entire inventory. So this number is definitely a little reductive you're lumping in $500,000 homes with $300,000 homes with $800,000 homes. So this is an average that I don't love, but it does show somewhat the disparity between existing homes and new construction. But depending on your price point, that can be accurate, but it can also be a little bit tighter for sure. And just reducing it to price per square foot may not be enough to go, okay, this is why I should buy new construction. In some cases, it might be really close, and there might be something about the existing inventory that you like. Maybe it's in an existing neighborhood with trees that are mature already, or maybe the new build has fit and finish that you can't find in an existing home. So price per square foot might let you compare the two, but it's not the entire story. Price per square foot by property type. Detached single family, $185, up about $6. Townhouses, $106, down from $185. Essentially, price per square foot on average across the entire inventory over the last year has been about the same, whether you're buying detached or attached homes. So that doesn't really factor into the decision too much, I would not think. When people come to me and say, hey, Geoff, this market is really overpriced. These sellers are crazy. They're asking for too much. Let's lowball them. We're going to look at percent of asking price over the last year. Just take a quick glance. None of these numbers are below 90%. And for all of the market other than the bargain basement up to $150,000, it's 97, almost 98%. So houses are going for what people are asking for them. 2% off of the asking price. Those are seller concessions that are built into the negotiating process, if you will. The house is the asset. The house is the asset. It is what holds all of the value. And yes, the current homeowner is paying the mortgage and theoretically needs to get their money back out. But the home buyer is taking on that long-term commitment to pay that mortgage and is usually paying more than what the previous owner owned it for. And sometimes we're going slightly above asking and asking for some of that money back to help closing costs. Sometimes with specialty loans like FHA and VA, there's some things in there that we might get some credit for, little bits of repair. Maybe the seller went, you know what, I'm going to set my price with the expectation of I'll take a % or two off to go deal with something that I don't want to deal with, and I'll give the concession to the buyer, perhaps a little bit of work on something that's broken, perhaps a floor upgrade, something along those lines. 98% essentially is nothing off of 100%. So houses that are priced properly are getting their full asking price here in Tippecanoe County. Again, almost 6% off of $0 to $150,000 homes. Those $150,000 homes are $150,000 homes for a reason. They need lots and lots of love and work. And those 5.5% off is not even nearly enough money to begin to take care of that. So basically, if you come to me and say, let's lowball somebody, I'm going to say, you're the boss. Here are the facts. And the facts are that your lowball might just get us sent away from a negotiating table and the seller won't even engage with us anymore, because this is the reality of the market here. People are getting their asking prices. And that holds up across construction types as well. Percent of asking price by construction type here in the Greater Lafayette area. Existing homes across the entire inventory, 97.8%, 98%. New construction, 100%, because that's just the way that new construction works. Percent of asking price by construction type. Like, hey, is it better can I lowball somebody on a townhouse? Guess what? You can't. The numbers are essentially the same, right at about 98% on both, down from 100%. So there's a % or two of concessions that are being given away now, but I expect that. Not just in this year, I'm always expecting that, whether it's last year or 10 years ago. That's just the way that it goes. Again, the house is the asset. And so when we're negotiating about price and concessions, we're really negotiating basically over what the buyer is going to be paying for the next 15 to 30 years. It does not surprise me to see 98%. And quite honestly, I think anything over 90% is really in a normal territory. Median price by price. So This one's a little bit confusing, but here's how this works. We take these price bands. So in the price band of 0 to 150, the median price, the middle price was $122,000. In the 150 to 250 mark, most of the middle house sold for $205,000. Between 250 and 350, it was $295,000 was the middle house that was sold. Between 350 and 500, it was about $405,000. And then between 500 and 750, it was a little lower than the actual midpoint of those numbers at about $568,000. The median is the middle number of the set. It's not the average. You take all of the numbers and you count up halfway through your set, and that's your median numbers. So that's just interesting to go, hey, Geoff, between 250 and 350, you say that's a big range. That's a $100,000 range. The middle one sold for $295,000. Let's see. Does that pop-up work here? It doesn't give you the total number of homes. The median home of that data set sold for $295,000. So half of those homes sold for $295,000 or more, and then the other half sold for $295,000 or less. So half of the homes sold between $250,000 and $295,000. So, if you're there's quite a number of homes available between $250,000 and $350,000, and half of those are available between $250,000 and $300,000. Welcome to your math lesson for today. I probably shouldn't be a math teacher. Median price by construction. This is across the entire data set of everything sold over the last year. So how meaningful this is, I'm not sure. But in existing homes, the median price was $295,000, and in new construction, it was $475,000. About $8,000 up in new construction and about $5,000 up in existing homes. So that means that half of the homes of existing homes were $295,000 or more, and half were $295,000 or less. We went into the details of those numbers, but that means that there is half of the homes sold over the last year here in Tippecanoe County sold for $295,000 or less. So if your price point is less than $295,000, I got good news for you. Half of the inventory might be available to you. Now, is every one of those homes something that you want to buy? Probably not. Median price by property type. So detached single family across the entire data set, $309,000. And then townhouses and condos, I would expect these to be cheaper. They're smaller, $252,000. And that number was down about $13,000. But when you're talking about the small 10, 15 homes that you're talking, swings of price are going to be a little bit bigger when you're talking about that kind of a small data set. And in the detached single family, we came up just under $7,000 over the previous years to $309,000. So the housing market here in the Greater Lafayette area is continuing to appreciate, and it is showing really no signs of abating. Perhaps the steam that's behind it is cooling just a little bit, where we're not going to see the giant leaps year over year, but we are going to continue to see growth, and that's a good thing. If you're interested in any of that, if you want a value on your current home, if you want more information about the existing home inventory that's for sale here, if you want information about the new construction homes that are coming on the market here in the Greater Lafayette area, go to LafayetteReal.com/YouTube and fill out that form. And you and I can work together here on all your real estate needs here in the Greater Lafayette area. And hit the like and subscribe button. It means it's really the way that, YouTube works. So, you hitting those buttons really matters. All right.